If you're even a casual reader of 06880, you know the name John Videler. His photographs of Westport, kids jumping off the Sherwood Mill Pond Bridge, drone shots of downtown, Saugatuck River, all kinds of weather all around town are colorful, creative, and very evocative. John is a second-generation Westport photographer. His father, Core, founded Videler Photography back in the last century. Mm-hmm. So, John, welcome to 06880, the podcast.
Thanks, Dan.
Let's start with your dad.
Yes. Cornelius Johan Videler, yes.
A good Dutch name.
Good Dutch name, yeah. Just like you.
That's right. A couple of Dutch guys.
Yeah.
What kind of photographer was he?
He worked for Pepperidge Farm, Campbell Soup, and Godiva. So Godiva was, part within Pepperidge Farm. And so he shot turnovers, cakes, cookies. We had Milanos all the time. Like Milanos was like the go-to. Blueberry turnovers in the freezer all the time. Great guy. I mean, his stills were like just fantastic. He took pictures like of my mom and my grandfather up in Holland, like, just walking through Southern Holland, like the fields, and you see this picture book that he made and you're like, oh my God, this is a 16-year-old guy that could just do this. It's amazing. So he always had a great eye for photography. And I always wanted to, come as close as I could to him, which you can. I mean, he had just like this amazing ability, which is really wonderful to see, yeah.
But he didn't just do Pepperidge Farm, right?
No. So he would do events, and he started a studio. He started a studio with my mom, so next to Mario's, which is now Harvest. So next to Mario's, he had a photo studio there for 27 years. And now it's right next to the diner, and then there was Depot Liquor, which is no longer there. Now it was Neat Loans for a little while, and now I believe it's vacant. So I could go back in if I wanted to, but I've been there, done that kind of thing. But it was great. It was great because Saugatuck in those days was great for a kid growing up. I worked at Mario's as a dishwasher. I think everybody either worked at Mario's or the Arrow.
The Arrow.
One of those two. So I dishwashed, then I graduated to busser at 16, and then I went to waiter at 18. And working with those guys was crazy. But and then I would find time to go to the studio and develop film. So I was in the darkroom from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just developing, printing all day long. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So you knew you wanted to be a photographer yourself?
Yeah, he never forced. That's why I worked at Mario's, because he never forced it on us. He never said, like, you're going to stay here and you're going to develop film and you're going to print. It was more of a, hey, what are you doing? Oh, that looks really cool. And then seeing a print come up in the developer for the first time, and if you've seen one, I know you've seen one, it's just magical. You see the print, you put it in the developing tray and you see it pop up and you're like, oh my God, that's magical, and I'd bring friends in to the darkroom and, I'd slide the door open and I'd slide it closed and they couldn't see anything for the first 5 minutes because, you have darkroom eyes. And so you're sitting in there and they're like, they can't see anything, So it's kind of like, where is everything? And like, okay, here's what we're doing. This is the red light and, here's what I'm doing and da-da-da. And this image would pop up and they're like, that's so wild, So yeah, it was a great time to, mix creative with bussing, or something like, working hard at a restaurant, which I think everyone should do. I mean, it taught me values like, not only camaraderie with, guys like Wolfie and Mike Connors, Mike, and Bill Cachetta, these guys I looked up to as a 16-year-old kid, and seeing them, and Dave Tarquino, another one.
And also dealing with people.
Dealing with people, yeah, because you're working for tips. So, you had to really be a nice guy and know what know what was on the menu, be creative, and just be nice. Yeah. Be nice to people, which ain't easy sometimes,
So how do you become a photographer? Did you train formally?
I took a Mr. Bittner's class at Staples. You remember Mr. Bittner?
Sure.
Okay. So, and it wasn't his class that really put me into this photography, it really was Mr. Wheeler, his drawing class at Staples. And when he taught me this one thing, which everybody knows now, negative space.
Negative space.
When he described negative space and how to draw it, it was like, this whole opening of my mind, which is like, now I see it. I saw the world in a different way. It was really cool. It was that one moment. But my dad would always be like, oh, help me out here or help me out there. And he had a view camera back then too. So it was like a big film thing. You smash it in there. And in the film days was a different story. I was talking to a guy yesterday about digital. And he's like, oh, God, you must miss those film days. I'm like, not at all. The chemicals. And I miss it popping up and stuff like that. But now you're on a computer and it's a big screen and you could do anything, It's great. It's great.
So what's a typical day for you? I'm sure there's no typical day, but,
yeah.
How do you work as a photographer?
That's the magic of this business. And that's why I love it so much, is that every day is a different day. I'm not on the computer every day. Yesterday I had for an energy company, I did a panel shoot, which sounds really exciting to everybody, but it was, the CEO started talking about all his personal things, like, what the company's looking for, what their expectations are, how they're going to deal with inflation, So I'm learning all these things for free. I'm a fly on the wall, and I'm capturing these images of these guys and gals and everybody just, on a panel, it's wonderful. I just keep my ears open. I'm like, this is great, I'm getting free advice. Free advice from a CEO of a major energy company, and it's not NeverSource. It's not them. It's someone else. But anyhow, it was just wonderful. And then halfway through the panel, I went outside and I was doing headshots, which is you have 30 seconds to make this person look presentable and approachable. How do you make this guy or gal look approachable? So you got to kind of be funny and try to pick something out that, which I think that's the one thing I'm very good at, is just like seeing someone for 30 seconds and going, all right, this is what we're going to do, da-da-da-da-da-da, and make it fun for them, make the smile, and a lot of people, they're afraid to talk to the CEO. I go, just don't tell me who he is or she is. Let me just have him for 30 seconds or whatever it is, and then let's just get this done, because, I like not knowing. Whereas I know a lot of photographers want to know everything. I'm the opposite. I want to just kind of like, do you have kids? I don't want to know anything. Yeah.
So that's corporate.
That's corporate, yes. So then I'll do events too. Like after the corporate job, I had an event last night. It was just a busy day yesterday for me, shooting wise. So I shot that event, and then today, after this, I already started downloading last night, but I'll download, and then I'll upload to a Capture One, and I'll play with it a little bit, tweak it out, make it a little pretty, throw some contrast in there, a little saturation. Make it look nice. And then it goes out to the client. They look at it, they pick out their favorites, and then I go in if they want me to, which is usually not. And if they want splotches or something fixed up in their face or reflections, which nowadays I get no reflections from glasses. It's the weirdest thing. But I think everybody's not wearing these anti-reflection glasses, whatever. But it's interesting. So every day is a different day. So now I'll get family groups. And a few years ago, they always said, hey, you should concentrate on one concentration in photography. It should be architecture. It should be real estate. It should be portraits. But I don't like to say no to anyone. So I'm a multi-genre photographer. So it's I'll do anything. But I love it. I love it because it really makes me wear these different hats to everywhere I go.
Real estate. How's that?
Yeah.
How do you make a house look good?
Oh, that's easy. Now it's easier than ever. But during the pandemic, we were talking about this earlier, but the pandemic, I became very busy. I had my mask on all the time. I was, the booties. I was very clean everywhere I went. They made sure that there's only one person in the place. A lot of times they just said, go here. Here's the code. Have a good time. So it's you crank the music up, and you're on a tripod. You're always on a tripod there, but and it's fun. I like lines and shapes and forms. I'm a geek like that, but I love texture. So, but you try to make everything you shoot a little bit of your personality. I always say, like, you want to be different. Okay, shoot the way they want it, because you gotta produce. You gotta produce. But then maybe the last 4 shots, make it something for yourself. Do something different. Do your settings a little different. Because even with the portraits, like, you get caught up in, like, okay, f8, all these things that should be this way. But if you walk into it like everything's different, I think it'll make you last longer. Because it's not boring. If I had you come into the studio and it's the same settings and same flash setup every time, you'd be like, oh, I don't want to shoot Dan today. Oh, it's But if you're like, oh man, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go to f2.8, or this is minor stuff, but or I go f8 this time, or go 11 or 16 or 22 this time. Make it look a little bit more dramatic, or a softer light, or a hard light. And nowadays they have these flashes that are like, they're wireless, and I could control them right from the top of my camera. I guess they always had them, but they're really nice now. And they're inexpensive. They're fun to use. It makes everything look. You could control light so nicely with it.
I have no idea what all that means.
I'm sorry.
But it reminds me of Spinal Tap with, this is 11.
Yeah, F11. Well, there's always like a safety. My dad always said there's like a safety setting, F8. Flash at 8, setting at 8, and whatever it tells you to do. But because you got enough depth of field and stuff. But nowadays, you see anything on Instagram or whatever, it's all bokeh, the soft focus, Dan's in focus, and everything behind you's out of focus. That's still the thing that people really love to see. But
everybody's a photographer now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've got my camera right here in my pocket, and
I do too.
I think I can be John Videler.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you resent that?
Not at all. No, I think there's enough for all of us, and I'm busy. I'm still busy. And all right, the best picture I took this year of Jimmy Izzo of all people, and you know how Jimmy Izzo does these sunrises every morning.
Mr. Sunrise.
I got chills. I'm such a geek. I got chills now. But all right, so I drop off my son at Metro North, and now I always drive by Campo no matter what, because it's
you're a Westport.
I'm a Westport. So, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever. So there's the sunrise. I'm like, oh my God, I left my phone. I left my camera at home. All I got is my cell phone, and I'm pulling up. I'm like seeing this glow. I'm like, oh no, I missed this thing. And I see Jimmy Izzo, his car parked, and I come pulling up right behind him at the pavilion, and he's crawling out of his car to greet me because he sees me. I'm getting off the line here, sorry. And then he sees me, and then there's a guy in the background with his cell phone, and he's like taking a picture of the sunrise. So it's the perfect. I got to send it to you. It's the perfect shot because there's a guy in the background take a picture of the sunrise, and there's Jimmy Izzo, Mr. Sunrise, coming out of his car to greet me. And it's just, I'm like, that's my best shot of the year with a cell phone.
Wow.
So I thought it was just really cool. I don't know.
Wow.
But they're great. They're great.
Is there a downside to cell phone photography?
There is. It takes an average. So your shots are always going to be great, I think. You could always go in there and put a little shadow, put a little contrast, throw a little saturation. Like Liz, my wife, will be like, how do you make it? Even your cell phones look really good. I'm like, well, because you got to just go in the edit and just play with it. Just make it, because everything's an average. So if you go in there and just give it 10 seconds more of something, it'll look better. But getting to your question, I don't mind seeing cameras around everywhere. My kids, when they go to the baseball game, it's no longer a signature. It's a cell phone with their center fielder from the Mets, so whatever his name is, I'm so bad. Anyhow, but they take a picture of him. So, and I'm in Holland, I'm in Amsterdam, I'm driving over the bridge on a bicycle, of course, and my son's in back of me, and I'm like, oh, take the phone out, and there I am, doing video of my son and I driving on the bridge, and then some Dutchman drives by us, and I know what he's saying because he says it in a foul Dutch language, but he's like, oh, the darn tourist, whatever. I had to laugh, but it was like, he's right, but they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And there's no stopping it. And I think it's going to replace what I'm shooting someday. Someday. Maybe not my time or our time, but they're just, the camera I have now, it's beautiful. It's heavy. And I heard this morning that, this is YouTube though, so I'm not going to, this might be wrong. Sales of cameras are 93% down. So no one's buying cameras anymore.
Yeah.
And the new generation, they're TikToking. And I heard also that, the platform of Instagram is more moving towards video than stills. So I wonder where these stills are going to go, and are people going to print them up?
Well, there's certainly still a place for it. I mean, on 06880, the pick of the day, which I post every night at 9 o'clock, everybody loves that and responds to it because it's one image of something that they know, something familiar.
Yeah.
So how about you in Westport? Where do you like to take photos?
Oh, everywhere. Is that good? No, I love the water. Who doesn't? But Campo Beach is off limits to drone people, especially with the birds there. I made a mistake of 3 years ago flying down there, and they attacked my drone. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I shouldn't fly there anymore. And they didn't throw any warnings out to you. The town didn't say like, hey, don't drone here. And now, like I'm seeing in the paper or not paper, online, that there, people are flying down there and please stay away because, it's disturbing them. I got hired by Peter Lane to photograph Coach Lane's house because they were selling it, and I had no idea. I have this app called Before You Fly, and I put that on, and I said, okay, you're fine to fly. Okay, good. So I was at Coach Lane's backyard, and I flew it up, and I flew it out, because they want to see, real estate wants to see where the house is. So I'm above the beach, above the water. I'm out there, all of a sudden I hear the lifeguards. Well, whoever's flying the drone, please not fly anymore. I'm like, oh, is that for me? Like, wait a second. So I go out in the front yard, because I was hidden. And there I was with my controls, and then they said the announcement again. I'm like, oh God, they're after me. So I was breaking the rules,
Wow.
But it's interesting. I love the beach. I love Old Mill's, like my favorite. Old Mill's like really my favorite place to go. Low tide there with the sand dunes and the colors at night. I've sold a bunch of those prints, which are really pretty, but I love that sand. And walking out there, everyone should just walk out at Old Mill at low tide and just put your feet in the water and just take a look back and see that French Riviera type look that is so wonderful.
You're talking about Campo Hill. I've always thought of it as very Mediterranean.
Very Mediterranean, yeah.
Like Italy.
And there's a hidden, I'm going to tell everybody this one, there's a hidden little water place there that it looks like it's all very low water, dead low tide, but there's a 6-foot drop where you just go in there and refresh yourself. It's just beautiful, yeah. And then I see the parties out there. Oh, it was, at low tide, there's 18 boats out there, and they're playing soccer on the beach. You'd love that, but they're loving soccer out there and stuff. They're having a good old time.
So how do you, everybody goes to Old Mill and the beach to take photos.
Yeah.
How do you make it different or special?
Yeah, Liz said to me, she goes, I love you because I love you, but it's also because you see the world in a different way. And I'm like, I think it goes back to Mr. Wheeler, that, it's just seeing things differently and just kind of like, I don't know, just putting your little thing into it, and also bringing it into Lightroom, or not Lightroom, to a place where you can edit it and make it look a little prettier, So, and timing's everything. Clouds, you want clouds. I don't put fake clouds in. For real estate, I do, but for like my own stuff, I don't put fake clouds in. But it's a great place to shoot. It's a great place to shoot, that place. And but the only problem is people hate drones. They hate them. They hate the sound of them. I'd never fly on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
I don't fly as often as you think I do, but I do get out there once in a while. Kikini Island, I love that. I got my boat finally working. I think I'm going to fly out there off my boat and stuff and just get some cool things. I'm looking to do something with Kikini.
So drones have really opened up a whole new area for photography.
Oh yeah. a lot. I hope it doesn't happen with Amazon. I really don't, because I don't like them as much as you don't like them. You know, because I was shooting a house for Michael Greenberg, Saugatuck Shores, and I'm like, I'm flying around. I first did the interiors and exteriors, but now I'm about to leave, so I'm just flying around, and then all of a sudden a tennis ball comes out of nowhere. I'm like, oh God, oh God, okay, whatever. So I just kept flying, whatever, and all of a sudden I got the drone back down, I put it back in, and I realized that there's a couple playing tennis over there. So I picked the tennis ball up. I go, hey, you got a tennis ball here, and I threw it over. And as I remember now, it's like they're like, hey, I hope you got a good picture of us. I'm like, I wasn't taking pictures of you. I was taking pictures of Michael Greenberg's $5 million house. It's like, whatever. So I was kind of like, taken aback by that. But there's some good stories with the drone. Another one was the Old Mill. Again, I flew it up for real estate, and I was flying up, and the money shot was the front porch, which looks over a balcony that looks over to the water. It's gorgeous. So I went up, I went over to the neighbor's house a little bit above them and shot that shot coming down. And then all of a sudden this guy comes out of nowhere. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm shooting for real estate, whatever. And he's like, well, if I had a shotgun, I'd shoot it down. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I go, because I don't like leaf blowers, but I got to put up with it too. And I go, it's only up there for like 2 minutes. I'm up there for a couple minutes, that's it. And he said, well, my granddaughter doesn't appreciate this at all. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'll take it down and we're out of here. So I take it down. Now I go back to my big computer screen. And as it turns out, there's a young lady in a bikini lying down in the sun. I'm like, no wonder he was like so upset with me. He probably thought I was like spying on his daughter, and I wasn't, but I was like, oh, so I had to Photoshop her out of there.
Wow.
I just, because I guess the realtor doesn't want to see that, in their picture, but it was pretty funny.
Wow. Besides the beach, what are some of the hidden places in Westport that you love to photograph that people might not think about?
There's one I'm really looking forward to, and I'm trying to get like Nyala Farms perfect, and it's not happening. I've been trying for 4 years, and I can't get it. I'm coming close. It's just the color and
what angle from what view?
Well, there's now a tent there, so there's like I guess they have because Bridgewater is there. So Bridgewater has a big, I guess, service tent out there for the employees, whatever it is, or maybe they're partying every day. I don't know, but yeah, so yeah, it's from that angle, from the angle right when you come pulling up to it. And I've done it through snow, sleet, like you said, like he's been through everything. But I'm looking for like a cloudy, cool, colory, and I've come close a couple times, and I'm almost there, but it's not there yet. I want something for the wall, something that just and. I hope, hopefully I'll get it. And there's more out there. There's like Kikini Island. That's another one I really want to start pushing, but, I just love it out there. It's fun. I finally got my boat running after 9 years, and, the kids could go swimming off of it in the lagoon. There's another great place there, to visit as kids. It's awesome. And the first time I went there, I went with John McCarthy. I grew up with him. He's on your blog a lot. He writes things. Johnny and Willie Fenster, the three of us went over to Kikini Island, and we went to the lagoon area. We threw the anchor out. We explored the island. We came back, and my boat is sitting on sand. Sand. So I'm like, oh, amateur. I was like, oh no, what do I do now? We had to sit there for 6 hours. We had to wait for the high tide to come up. So it's like, what were we gonna do? We skipped rocks, or we just talked, or whatever we did as kids then. So it's a different world.
So what's it like raising your 4 kids, in the town that you grew up in?
So much fun. I love it. Yeah, they're as much as they say there's nothing to do, I think there's a ton to do here. Not only the sports, which you know all about this. You know about the sports and stuff, but just to see them go through like the same schools. Like the first time I went to Bedford, it's now Saugatuck, so that totally confused the heck out of me. I was like, I had a job there. They're like, oh, can you go to Bedford? I'm like, yeah. So I went over to Saugatuck, and they're like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be at Bedford. I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay, okay. So that's before the kids. But anyhow, with the kids, yeah, they love it. They bike ride. They don't bike ride through people's properties like I used to do. But, or there's no more fences like there was. There are fences now. But other than that, they love Longshore Sailing School. They love to, they love the water. They embrace it. They go to Old Mill. Like, I force them to go down there and go swimming there. And that's a hidden gem in Westport. I love it. You know?
Well, you got that great photo of them jumping off the off the bridge.
Yeah, and that's a nail in some people's side, that bridge, I guess. But I mean, people have been doing it for so long, so it's just such a wonderful place. And they talk about it all the time. And my sister comes back from California. We're jumping the bridge, you know. Even like 3 weeks ago, it's like, oh my God, it's really cold. It's 63 degrees. Do you really want to do it? She goes, you have to do it once. I'm like, all right. So there we go, you know, jump off the bridge, you know. Here I am, 55-year-old, I'm lying a little bit, but 55-year-old guy jumping off a bridge with his kids, you know. And I love being involved with them too. So, and they appreciate it, I think, you know. I think they like it that Dad swims around with them and stuff, you know. But there's a lot to do in this town. You know, winter, for photography, you know, get them outside as much as you can. None of them have really picked up the camera, except Penn. St. John a little bit too. St. John's more of like a graphic designer. He's got some really cool art things going on. Case is the finance guy, and L's more of just the free spirit. But it's all nice, you know. It's the way they work together and play together, and yeah. And they work at Saukta Harbor Yacht Club. All three of them were working there at one time. So one's there now.
So you sort of got that artistic sense as you were going through Staples, through Jim Wheeler and Neil Bittner. And you had opportunities to sort of follow that.
Yeah.
Do you think kids growing up today have that same artistic sense, or are they, you know, being not forced, but are they more interested in other pursuits?
Well, I see your blog post with the art of the week, which is wonderful. I see everything from 60 years old or 80 years old to 8 years old. It's beautiful stuff. And there's Mocha too. Mocha's, which is as much as we don't like it to be out of downtown Westport, it's gorgeous. You know, it's a beautiful place, and I still think that these kids are really into art. Penn, my youngest guy, he is so excited to go to Staples, and a bunch of his friends are taking animation. Animation? I mean, come on. He's taking graphic design and photography. I'm like, that's beautiful. There's so much that Staples is offering these kids that it's just wonderful what they go through.
Sure. Couple questions right at the end here.
Oh boy, that went fast.
No, number 8, it goes very fast.
I talk. I'm really fast, but sorry, I'll slow down now. Now I'll slow down.
Under the radar.
Yes.
Any trends in photography that people aren't yet aware of, but that we'll be talking about in a year or two?
Trends. It's the mirrorless camera. Everyone wants me to get rid of my $8,000 camera and buy these $10,000 cameras, and that's probably why it's down 93%, because what I have right now is perfect. For what I do. The newest cameras now, if you pull up to your face, which no one's doing anymore, but if you pull up to your face, it will focus 100% on your eyes. It just picks up your eyes. So you can move at it, away from it, left, right, whatever. It will just follow you wherever you go. So I don't know. To me, everyone loves it. I have friends that have these things, and I'm not ready for it yet. Then I keep hearing like, oh, you got to get it because it's the best thing ever. And I love what I have. It's heavy. I don't recommend you carrying this. Not that I'm a big guy, but it's a big camera.
Yeah.
You got big lens and big everything.
What is it?
It's a Canon 5DS. I have that for architecture. It's a 50 megapixel, and then I have a 5D Mark IV, it just has a nice shutter sound to it. I buy it because of the shutter, but but the quality is like a 30 megapixel. I don't know if that means anything to you, but it's nice. It's fast. It's nice. It's soft. It's quiet, but it's big.
Okay.
It's big, and I always said to like friends, if you ever want to crash a party, put this thing on with a big fat flash on it, and you go anywhere you want with this thing. People want to ask you questions. Just here, photographer's here. Yeah, come on in. But it's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
And the last question. You got a bare wall.
Yes.
Can only pick one of your photos that you've taken.
Oh my God! Not the Jimmy Izzo one.
No, anyone? Is it the Jimmy Izzo one? Is it,
No. Sorry,
what's
Jim.
the favorite one you've ever taken?
Favorite one I've ever taken. Oh my God, I could go back forever on this. Okay. Oh God, this is the answer all photographers say. The one tomorrow.
I like it.
You like that one?
Yeah, I like it.
None of them that I have now. This is the one tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, John Videler, this is great. I've learned a lot about photography, about Westport, about cameras, about cell phones, and Jimmy Izzo. And
Jimmy Izzo.
there you go.
Love it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dan. This is great.
You bet.